finally, Imbolc. And you're on the wrong side, which drives me crazy, but I have to show the altar too, so I'm going to be not looking in the right place at all because I'm used to it being on my other side. But anyways, okay. Let me get you up here so I can see everyone as you come in. Hello, hello, hello. Imbolc is here tomorrow. I can't believe it's already here. It went really quickly from Yule. All of a sudden, here we are. It's weird. So I got my hair done today, just so y'all know. It looks way different. I know. Okay. Yes. I got my hair done. It's so this is the first time the hubby got me a gift certificate. And this is the first time in 20 years that I went to a hairdresser. Like I don't spend the money at hairdressers, but I like it. It's good. It just was a lot of money. I'm like, you know how many decks I could have bought for that? But anyways, regardless, here we are. And, oh, let me grab my notes. And I'm super excited that Imbolc is finally here because that means that spring is coming soon. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. You guys are sweet. Yeah, so spring is coming soon. And, yes, my hair has a fresh start. That's true. It does. And, like, I couldn't make Peter feel bad for getting me something like I never do. So I was like, okay, I have to do this. But even, like, my admins will tell you, I was really nervous about it, which sounds so weird because I'm not nervous about anything, but the hairdressers was kind of terrifying. So, but it's here, so yay. And it's not, I like it. It's not bad. It's supposed to lighten it up some. So that eventually as my gray comes in, it's gonna like be grayer. And when Josh and Hexen get up here, Josh is gonna do it more gray. So, I don't know. I'm gonna be fucking with it probably the whole time because it's new. Okay, so here we go. All right, Imbolc. I hate going to the barbers. See, and that's exactly it, Joseph. The small talk thing drives me nuts because I don't know these people. And you know what? I can talk to somebody for hours about witchy stuff. But when we both know that, like, she had a believe sticker on her station and stuff, and I was like, oh, she's a Christian. So, you know, you get to, so what do you do? Well, I read tarot and do Reiki healing and stuff at a metaphysical shop. Oh, that's nice. And then nothing. You know, you're like, yep, so you have kids? Yep, 4 boys, they're all grown. That's nice. And nothing. We have nothing else to talk about, so just be quiet and do my hair. Exactly. Just do it. All right. Okay, so Imbolc. Here we are. So exciting. I love Imbolc. I mean, I know. I love all of them, right? You know me. They're all my favorites. But Imbolc is really good. You know, Imbolc means that spring is coming. That the earth is starting to warm, even though it's really, right now, is kind of the coldest part of the year for most people, right? Definitely for us. But we know that wheel of the year is turning, that the earth is changing all the time, that the earth underneath is warming, and so eventually spring is coming. Can you say awkward, right? It really is. Because, you know, like Steven said, so, do you want a tarot reading? I'm like, yeah, I did bring my deck. I could pull it out for her. So, you want me to pull a card? And Steven goes, yeah, and then the first card you pull is the devil. I'm like, yeah, so, here's the devil card. That's probably me in your life right now. Thank you, Court. All right. So Imbolc. Imbolc is named after ewe's milk, sheep's milk, which is OIMELC, O milk, which is ewe milk. In old Celtic language, and it is a holiday, a festival of Brigid in the Celtic lands, and it really came from the Celtic. So, yay, scroll time. So we are going to talk a lot about Brigid and a little bit about a couple other deities and a couple other things that some of the things will incorporate into. It is, we're really preparing, right? We're preparing for spring, which is a big thing, and it's the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox, the vernal equinox. So it means that we're halfway through that point between, the harsh winter. We're halfway through that, which, is a good thing to celebrate. It means that we're getting there. It was a good thing, back in the day when most people were staying at home with their families and trying to get through the year based on what they had saved up for, all of their canned goods and all that stuff that they saved up for, knowing that the harsh winter was coming. It was good to know, okay, we're at the halfway point before, the vernal equinox when we start planting again. So how are we doing food-wise? So it's a really good time to plan for what's upcoming for the warm time, because most of us have more time on our hands because we're spending more time at home, especially now with COVID, right? There's a saying when Groundhog Day comes, and I never remember the saying, Groundhog Day, half your hay. And the American holiday of Groundhog Day, which really, kind of came from, we talked a little bit about, came from Caliac, right? You should be halfway through your hay, meaning what you use to feed your animals, what you saved up to feed your animals. You should be about halfway through that, because then by the time the vernal equinox hits, more stuff will be growing. You will be able to harvest more for your animals at that point. We're staying home now. I know it for sure in England, right? In the UK. So the Sabbath is all about preparing for what's to come, getting rid of old things that no longer serve us, and introspection, a lot of introspection. Hi, Heidi. Imbolc is about new beginnings and the transformation from winter to spring. So we're also transforming things within us to prepare for the spring to come and new things to come. And so we'll talk a little bit about that as we go through and talk about traditions and stuff about Imbolc here. So let's talk about Brigid a little bit. Brigid is a Celtic goddess, mostly Ireland. She started really in an Irish goddess. Thank you, Heidi. As an Irish goddess. And she is hold on, somewhere I wrote, she's the goddess of a ton of stuff. Questions come through. It's Brody. Okay. Brigid is a goddess of fire, flame, change, transformation, poetry, inspiration, wisdom, metalworking, the fire of the forge. She's the goddess of the forge. Healing, creativity, water, prophecy, education, and learning. She is credited with giving the written word to humanity in the Irish tradition, the Celtic tradition. She's also a goddess of childbirth and can be called upon for help during delivery to keep mother and child safe, which is a big thing around this time. And she was the goddess of the eternal flame. So, once again, we need to talk about a little bit of the history of the goddess and how it got changed when the Christians came and wanted to convert everyone to Christianity. Brigid was one of the very few that made that change into sainthood. So the Christian faith came along and they kind of tweaked a couple things, and made things so that it was a little bit more palatable for the pagans to accept Christianity, because all of our holidays kind of fall on the same days. Well, this is one of the same kind of things. They made Brigid a saint and kind of adopted a lot of her things, and it made it easier for the pagans to go along with the Christian religion. She is called the goddess of the sacred well. She protects the healing waters at Kildare in County Clare in Ireland. That area, Kildare, is called the city of Brigid a lot. And that's why there's a whole bunch of followers that were around there. She also went into hoodoo. Yes, we are going to mention that too, for sure. She is... Yeah, I am going to mention that for sure. She is said to transform into a snake. She's a very powerful shapeshifter. So Brigid is one of those shapeshifting goddesses. She can be in the aspect of maiden, mother, and crone. So we talk about Brigid in several holidays in different aspects. In this aspect, in the aspect of Imbolc, we're going to be talking about her crone aspect. Yeah, crone aspect. She's also a goddess of change and transformation, goddess of the forge fire. So here's the transformation bit. If you have any doubt about Brigid's ability to transform herself, you can only look at her fate after the Christian suppression of the Celts' native religions. Even after Christianity's arrival in Ireland, the cult of Brigid was too strong for proselytizing Christians to dismiss. They couldn't just get rid of her because too many people were following her traditions. So instead, they decided to include the traditions of Brigid, and that made it a lot easier. In so many instances, when Christianity displaced local deities, the latter often was relegated to being characters in fairy tales or completely forgotten or transformed into demons and monsters. That happened a lot too. No such fate would befall the goddess of the eternal flame, however. Instead, we find the sudden and virtually inexplicable, I don't know how that's happened, appearance of Saint Brigid. Although no longer described as a goddess, her credentials as a saint were undeniable. Saint Brigid was put forth as the midwife to Mary when Jesus was born. Oh, all of a sudden, Mary had a midwife named Brigid. And that brought her some fame to, help the Christians say who she was. That reconstructed history provided a clever way for the church to let her keep her deep connections with childbirth. Ta-da, look at that. In other stories, St. Brigid healed lepers using water from her well. Oh, look at that. She was the keeper of the well in Kildare. And people were not going to let that go. So, suddenly she had abilities to heal with the waters of the well. And she blessed the baby Jesus with 3 drops of water to his head. The Trinity, Maiden, Mother, Crone. The Trinity of Brigid, Saint Brigid. This was part of the saint's history to redefine her connection with water in a Christian context. She was also said to bring bright weather with her, thus maintaining her connection to spring and the end of winter. Because in Ireland and in the Celtic, the pagan traditions in Ireland, Imbolc marked the beginning of spring. They didn't wait for the vernal equinox. Imbolc was the beginning of spring. So finally, it was said that St. Brigid was born on February 1st, sometimes called Candlemas Eve. Some stories say that she was born at dawn in a pillar of fire. Others say her mother gave birth to her at dawn as her mother crossed the threshold into her home, so they could keep all the traditions of the threshold, which we're going to talk about what to do with that. All of these stories put a strong emphasis on symbols of change. Places and times of transition were sacred to Celtic peoples, representing the mystical places that exist only within the margins So dawn, fire, thresholds, all a symbol of change. St. Brigid was also given a birth that had no deep meaning within the Christian tradition, but would clearly speak to the Celts of the pagan tradition that they wanted to convert. So each of these Christianizations of the established pagan belief made it a little easier to get people to convert, which is a lot of the traditions that we talk about. That's why a lot of the holidays that the Christians celebrate, it's funny that they're on pagan holidays. They're on pagan dates. They're on pagan, when we celebrate Yule, there certainly was no tradition there. Yes, Brigid has connection with snakes. Yes, absolutely, for sure. Has connection with snakes. And hold on, and I'll tell you why that is right here, I think. Nope. Right here. She's also been said to transform into a snake and is sometimes represented in that guise in various works of art. So yes, absolutely, she's connected to the snake. So she has a whole lot to do with all of that, and that's how the Christians helped to transform the pagans, was to kind of adopt a lot of these traditions so that it made it okay for them to continue doing their Brigid traditions with that. Hi, Finesse. Okay, so tradition-wise, we're going to talk about a lot of the traditions that have to do with Brigid. Oh, and then that's the voodoo tradition when St. Brigid traveled with the Irish and Scottish indentured servants that went to the Caribbean. When the rich from Ireland, Scotland, and England went to the Caribbean, and they brought their Irish and Scottish indentured servants with them. They brought the tradition of Brigid with them to the Caribbean, and she transformed again when they were in the Caribbean into the voodoo tradition of Madame Brigid in the voodoo belief, which was an herbal healer, and there's a lot of very similar connections, and she transformed from Brigid or Saint Brigid to Madame Brigid. So, and that came from the Irish and Scottish traditions. So they brought that with them, and then it happened again in the Caribbean. So that is good too. That's another transformation that she made into that. Okay, so lots of ancient traditions that have to do with Imbolc and Brigid at this time. The first one is at Imbolc Eve, the eve of Imbolc. You're supposed to open all the doors and windows. The women stand at the threshold of the door to receive Brigid's blessings for the whole year, because on Imbolc Eve, which is tomorrow night, at dusk, Brigid starts to travel to everyone's house, and there's very specific traditions we're going to go through that if you can tell that Brigid has come to your house, then there's lots of abundance and good luck and good feelings that are coming for you for the rest of the year. It was a big deal if Brigid actually made it to your house. So that was number one. Number two, Brigid's crosses and corn dollies hang in the kitchen all year long to entice Brigid's protection of the hearth and home. Santa, is that you? No. So Brigid's crosses. I made one out of leather so I can keep it every year. But you can, normally they're made out of like straw or hay. And you can hang it in your kitchen all year long. And that's supposed to entice Brigid to bless your hearth and home all year long. So that's one of the traditions, is hanging the Brigid's cross. Then okay, so we talked about this. It was 2 years ago now. I can't believe it was 2 years ago. But 2 years ago, we talked about the tradition of the brat cloth, or the brat bride, brat Brigid, which was a cloth, a long cloth that you put outside on Imbolc Eve, so tomorrow night. You hang it in your hedgerow, or you put it on, some people said they put it on their stoop, on the front threshold. Yeah, this is where rat pussy came from, because Dana came on when we were talking about brat breed and thought I said rat pussy. 2 years ago. I can't believe that was 2 years ago. And so forevermore, every time we hear, you may hear, it's kind of an inside thing, that all of a sudden that's where that came from. Because when I was talking about brat breed, or brat Brigid, she thought I said rat pussy. And she's like, what? Rat pussy? What the hell is that? Well, that's where that came from, is this specific tradition. So the actual tradition, though, is you would hang that cloth in the hedgerow, and then you would use that cloth anytime you had a headache, because Brigid, when she came by, she would touch the cloth hanging on the hedgerow when she came by and imbue it with her healing powers, which then would help with headaches. In some traditions in Ireland, there's other traditions about fish, like the fishermen would use it or something, and it would help them good luck with their fish or something like that. But the one that I know of, and that most of the Celtic people know, is that this brat breed, or this Brigid's cloth, you would wrap it around your head 3 times when you had a headache or a migraine, and it would help to get rid of your migraine. And so that's where that tradition came from, is hanging that cloth out, because as Brigid went by, she would touch that cloth and imbue it with her healing power. So that's another tradition. That's tradition number 3. Tradition number 4 is scattering the green rushes. So you would gather green rushes. Yes, I did. I cut my hair. I went to the hairdresser today, Bob. Look. Woo. So you gather green rushes. Green rushes are like a form of green grass that is still growing outside. So it's probably a weed, really, but it's a softer green grass that you can actually find outside at this time. So you gather those green rushes and you scatter them on your stoop, on your threshold. And it's a tradition to scatter them in honor of an esteemed guest. So on Imbolc Eve, before you go to bed, one of the traditions is you scatter the green rushes at the threshold, and you say, Brigid, come to my house tonight. And that's her invite, her welcome into your house. And if she comes into your house, there's another tradition. Actually, the next one we're going to talk about, you can tell if she came to your house. You can tell, and it then is a good omen for the coming year. So, the next tradition is the bride's bed, Brigid's bed. Okay, so let me quickly go back, though, and talk about the corn dollies. So we talked about the corn dollies. This is a corn dolly. I used to have a couple different ones, because a lot of corn dollies are actually made out of corn, but they were maize. What can you use if your ground is covered with snow? You can, anything green really that you can find. So you can use like weeds that come up. You can use some of the even brown grasses. It's better if you can find something green. But you can go to the floral shop too. If you get a bouquet of flowers and use the leaves from the flowers and spread them on your stoop too, on your threshold. That'll work too. But don't forget that corn in a maize, if you say corn or maize in Europe, in the Celtic lands, they don't necessarily mean corn. That means like hay or straw or wheat or, any of that grain kind of stuff. So this is also a corn dolly, which then represents Brigid in this time. And I have a Brigid's bed on my altar at Imbolc. So I keep a Brigid's bed. So the night before, so tomorrow night before I go to bed, you put your corn dolly in Brigid's bed, and she can be there all, like, you know, all the time before you're getting up to Imbolc Eve. But on the night before, that's when this is called a Priapek wand. And this is the symbol of fertility. So this is the male phallic wand. And I keep this year round, but I only use it at Imbolc time because this is the wand that is used for the Brigid's bed. It's a pine cone usually. And then I used a really big long cinnamon stick, which is another symbol for fertility. And I wrapped a ribbon around the top of it and hemp twine and kind of glued it up there. So this is my Priapek wand. So Imbolc Eve, you put Brigid into her bed, and then you cross Brigid with the Priapek wand. And you're supposed to put this, now at the time, don't forget, everybody had hearth fires. So like in their kitchen, you'd have a big fireplace. So you put this in the ashes that gather at the front of the, yes, it's actually grain, not corn, exactly. You put it in the ashes, you smooth out the ashes that are in the front of the hearth fire. So right in the front. And put the bed down. And then in the morning, if those ashes have been disturbed, then you know that Brigid came to your house. That was how you knew. If those ashes have been disturbed and Brigid came over and blessed your bed, nope, the ribbon color doesn't matter at all. Whatever color you want to use. If the ashes are disturbed, that means Brigid came to your house and blessed your house. And then that meant either fertility. So if you were looking to get pregnant and stuff, that was a big omen for fertility. Or abundance, fertility in life. Abundance of crops, abundance of prosperity, all that kind of stuff. It was a good omen to know that Brigid had come to your house on Imbolc. That was a big deal. So, bride's bed. And you can make very simple bed out of a cardboard box. I used to have one that I made out of a shoe box. And you just put like a little cloth or something in it. And, hello. You put a little cloth in it or something and put your Brigid in there and have it ready. That was to symbolize that you're honoring, welcoming Brigid into your home. And you can use that anything you want. I actually found a little bed, a little like doll bed, of course at Goodwill. And so this is the one I use every year at Imbolc. Yeah, it's a big cinnamon stick. Yep. That is with a big pine cone on top. And that's the phallic symbol for Brigid's union. So you put that at your hearth and welcome Brigid into your home. Okay, so that is number 5. That was a good omen for the rest of the year. The other tradition, another tradition at Imbolc is you start to plan your garden for the year. You start to figure out, and many people, especially, back in the day when everybody grew their own food and stuff, you planned, this was the day that you started to plan out what crops you were going to grow, where you were going to put them, where your garden was going to be. You were going to have 3 rows of this and 2 of this. And so this is a good time to look at your land plot, maybe draw it out, and actually take a moment to draw out, okay, I want this. If I'm going to grow herbs this year, these are the herbs that I want to grow. And I think if you look up what grows better next to each other and stuff, this is a good time to put down, okay, this grows really well here. This should be next to this. This doesn't grow very well next to this. This is a good day to plan your garden, is on Imbolc. That is honoring the coming spring. What else? So many traditions, right? There's lots of good ideas. Do something positive, but out of character for you. In the tradition of doing something new and wiping away the old, Start something new by doing something positive. Talk to someone in the grocery line. Give a compliment to someone that you don't know. Go for a walk and say hello and smile at everyone. Do something that is nice. You know, that random act of kindness kind of stuff. Pay for the person behind you in the McDonald's line. Do something that's kind of out of character for you, but will start a new foot forward to symbolize going forward and doing something positive for the rest of the year. Talk to your hairdresser. Be quiet, Steven. I tried. I really did. And she was nice and we talked a little, but, you know, it's hard to talk to non-witchy people. Native Americans planted corn, beans, and squash together. Perfect. So do something that will put a foot forward for the rest of the year. Another tradition, burn a candle. So if you can't do, like if you just don't have the energy, sometimes, you know what? Sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes I have a hard time celebrating each holiday and Sabbath as it comes up. There are times that things are really busy and it's really hard. If you don't do anything else, at the very least, to honor Brigid and the flames and her eternal flame, light a candle for a while. You know, be safe about it, but light a candle for a while. Put it in your window for a little while. That used to be the symbol of, is she the goddess of new stuff? She is the goddess of transformation. She's the goddess of bringing new energy into your life and transforming your life. So the candle in the window used to be the way that people would say, hey, I want Brigid's energy in my life. So on my Imbolc altar is always a candle that, even if you can't light a real candle, put some kind of symbol of a candle. Put some kind of flame on your altar to symbolize bringing that new energy in. And we have to talk a little bit about the Catholic Christian tradition. When the Christian tradition took over Imbolc, what they turned it into is called Candlemas. And so the Catholics in specific, but I don't know, I think a lot of Christians do it on this day in general. On February 2nd, the Catholics, anyways, will gather all the candles that they're going to use for the whole year, and they bless all the candles that they're going to use for the whole year. And this came from, of course, a tradition of Brigid that they would bless the flame, the eternal flame, and they would make their candles because winter was a good time to make candles because you were inside. So they would make their candles for the year and try to have them done by Imbolc so that Brigid could bless their candles. So that's where that came from. You can do that. You can do a candle blessing ceremony or a little incantation to ask Brigid to bless your candles for the year. That's a good day. Groundhog's Day. So I talked about this before, but I'll tell this story again in case you didn't hear it. Groundhog's Day came from Cailleach. Thank you. Cailleach was another Celtic goddess who was the one who decided when winter was over. So Cailleach, before winter hit, she gathered as much wood as she could and enough wood to last until February 1st. And on February 1st, Cailleach leaves her hut. She kind of hibernates for the whole winter until February 1st. February 1st, she leaves her hut and she goes out to gather the rest of the firewood for the rest of the winter. And so if she goes out on February 1st and it's a nice day and it's sunny and bright and you can see your shadow, she will stay out there a long time and gather a bunch of firewood. So winter will last a whole 6 weeks more. It will last a lot longer because she was able to gather a whole lot of firewood because it was a warm day and the sun was out and it wasn't really crappy. So she was okay with staying out gathering more wood, which means winter is going to last longer. If she went out and it was snowy or rainy and cold and crappy, she would only stay out and grab her a couple more logs. She would not stay out for a long time in the cold and wind and wet and rain and snow and all the yucky stuff that comes with winter. If it was that kind of a day, she would only stay out for a little while, grab a couple logs, and come back in. And when that load of wood that she gathered was done, that meant winter was over. The next time she comes out, that's it. Spring is coming now. So if it's a crappy day, that means it's going to be a shorter winter. She's not going to stay long because she was only able to gather a little bit of wood. Yep, that's one story, Sarada. The Celtics also brought it over from Cailleach. And that's why because the shadow never made sense to me until I heard the Cailleach story. Because if the shadow is there, that means it's a nice day. So why would that mean a lot more winter, right? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless you tie it into the Cailleach story, which then, oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense because if it's a nice day, she's going to stay out longer, gather more wood. Okay. Okay, let me just say a quick story about Frigga, or not story, but tell you why Frigga is also is connected. All right, here's my Imbolc altar. Frigga, this is Frigga. In the Norse tradition, she's also connected to Imbolc. Frigga is the wife of Odin. I love this one. See her flame? The wife of Odin. She is the goddess, the queen of the Aesir. She's the goddess of fertility, marriage, hearth, and home. So again, Frigga is connected in the Norse with everything that Imbolc is. The hearth and home, the fires. She's connected to fertility and the hearth and home. So she is, if you're following a Norse tradition, she is connected to the Norse tradition at home. I always have ewes, little lambs, on my altar. That is because of the lamb's milk. The lambs are giving birth at this time. And so we traditionally have lambs and ewes on your altar. I always have, usually on Imbolc, you will see when we do the Imbolc ritual tomorrow night, you will see I'll actually have a bowl of snow. But I always have snowflakes. This, when it's lit up, see, has snowflakes. When you light that candle, you see snowflakes through there. So I always have snow and snowflakes and lambs and ewes on my altar. And that symbolizes the traditions of the ewe's milk, which is where the name Imbolc came from. So that is my altar. Usually you'll see this on Sunday night when we do our ritual on Sunday night. I will do a ritual on Sunday night. Again, I'm not going to do a really elaborate ritual probably. Because Imbolc is one of those that was very family oriented because it was the dead of winter and it was really cold out. Most people only celebrated with their family. There wasn't a whole lot of celebration like with the whole town celebrated or anything. Although they did light the fire from Brigid's fire and bring it to each home. So each home put their hearth fire out before morning hit on the day of Imbolc, and they had a big lighting of Brigid's fire because she was the goddess of the eternal flame in the middle of town, and everyone brought their torch or whatever to light from Brigid's fire, so that's how they kept their house warm, was from Brigid's fire. So everybody did do that. At least in the thank you, TLC. At least in the Celtic tradition. So I always have lots of things that have to do with snow. I used to have snowball candles that I lit. I always have lots of snow tradition or symbols on my altar for Imbolc. And there'll be a lot more candles there too. Up in a tree taking down old branches. Yeah, definitely not doing that here. It's about 16 degrees out. And it is chilly. Chilly, 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 let me tell you. So, but you can do a lot of the traditions about new beginnings and, you know, starting things new and planning for the upcoming spring and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, 16. It's chilly. And it's, you know, here we are. What is it, 2 o'clock now? And it's 16 right now. Yeah, this, traditionally, the beginning of February is usually like the coldest part of our year, so it's cold. I love that she's the goddess of transformation. Me too. Me too. Starting new things, right? So, any questions about Imbolc at all? Any questions? I can't think of anything else. I have got all the decks that I have to go through. I have a bunch of decks that I'm going to try to... No, 16 is without the wind chill. With the wind chill, it feels like 1. At least it did before I came on. It feels like it was 16 degrees. Feels like 1. My heater in here, I'm up to 58, so it's finally a little comfortable in here. 54 was a little cold last night, but 58, so. They lit every fire with the sacred fire of the sea god. Oh, that sounds really familiar, Sarana. Isn't it one of the Gibraldi's animes? The something under the sea or the... I think I saw that one too. It was a good one. My battery's dead this morning. Oh no! Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, you know it's cold when your car doesn't want to start. When it's like, hell no, we don't want to do this. All right, guys. So, I will be probably recording a couple of new openings, unboxings of new decks. And so look for that as we go. Tomorrow night will be the ritual. Again, not going to be a really big, elaborate ritual, but, you know, we'll light a couple candles, say a couple things about Brigid, about starting anew, and do a little bit of a ritual. And then Tuesday, don't forget, is it this Tuesday? It might be this coming Tuesday or next Tuesday, I can't remember. There's a giveaway going on. If you look at the Hope video, that will tell you how to enter the giveaway. And Tuesday is the Queen of Pentacles. And then Thursday is Rune Thursday, and we're doing Rado. I still don't know how to do it. How to say it, I mean. And I don't know, I got a whole bunch of things I'm trying to get done all at once. So, yay! I'm getting there. Hopefully I'll be able to catch up very soon. And hopefully you guys can at least embody something of Imbolc, even if it's just lighting a candle and doing one good thing differently than you would. Like, you know, say hello to someone, give someone a compliment that you wouldn't normally. Something that will move you forward in positivity for the upcoming year. All right. I love you guys so much. Make sure you click that like button on your way out so that more people see the video. And I love you. Bye, guys.